So I received a question today about sleep. Sleep is often underrated in the United States and probably worldwide, or at least the industrialized world. One has to realize that sleep is absolutely as essential to health and wellness as is exercise, diet, nutrition, relaxation, all of those things. Why is that? So our bodies go through two phases of metabolism. During the day, there's something called the catabolic phase or catabolism. That's when your body is breaking down nutrients to make energy. Your body is utilizing a lot of the stored energy molecules like glycogen and fat and other things like that to make energy. And at night, you go through a stage of anabolism or anabolic metabolism. That's when your body is rebuilding, repairing, detoxifying. So when you hear about anabolic steroids, most people are familiar with that. A lot of athletes take these as enhancing drugs to increase muscle mass and things like that. But our bodies naturally make anabolic steroids that actually help with regeneration of all the tissues and organs in the body. It's critical that we spend approximately 12 hours in an anabolic state and 12 hours in a catabolic state. What happens when that's imbalanced? When we are in a predominantly catabolic state, we're actually promoting aging. This phenomena is of epidemic proportions in the United States. People think that they can just catch up on their sleep later, but they really need to be focused on their sleep now. And there's many distractions and disruptions to sleep. Those include electronics. So there's something called sleep hygiene. I recommend that you don't have any televisions in the room. You put your phone in your bathroom. You keep all electronics away from your head, especially blue and LED lighting. So you don't want to activate the retina of your eyes to actually think that it's time to wake up. So you want to get all those lights and those light producing technologies out of your room. If you happen to have a television in your room, which I don't recommend, I would say unplug it. And believe it or not, in my bedroom next to my head is an old-fashioned alarm clock that uses a battery. That does not generate a lot of electromagnetic fields. I don't have any other electronics in the bedroom at all. I turn my Wi-Fi off at night so that I'm not getting any Wi-Fi signals transmitted into my sleeping space. Sleep is sacred to me, and the most important thing is that we get most of our sleep earlier in the evening. So it's not equivalent to get 8 hours of sleep if you go to bed at midnight and wake up at 8 a.m., as if you go to bed at 10 and wake up at 6. The reason is the earlier we go to sleep, the faster we get into the deep restorative sleep or REM sleep, and we stay in it longer. So studies have shown that actually the sleep between 10 p.m. and midnight is actually a higher quality of sleep in general. What other things can disrupt sleep? Eating too late. So you should never eat 3 hours before you go to bed. You want to digest all your food. You don't want that food sitting in your belly. That causes all the blood to be in your intestinal tract and it's not in your brain. So you really need to make sure you're eating a lighter meal and try to digest your food before you actually go to sleep. What else disrupts sleep? Alcohol. Alcohol, especially if it's consumed within 3 hours of going to sleep, is going to disrupt your sleep patterns. So people often drink and feel relaxed and then they fall asleep, but they actually don't get into that deep REM sleep. The other thing that alcohol does is it can cause problems with relaxation of the tongue. So people that have a tendency towards sleep apnea can have their tongue relaxed from the alcohol. That falls back into the back of their throat, and then they start to gasp for air and they have what we call apneic events where they stop breathing. The other thing that affects sleep is caffeine. Often people that are not sleeping sufficiently use caffeine as a way to generate energy. Caffeine, even if it's consumed 12 hours prior to going to sleep, can disrupt your sleep. Once you have created a healthy sleep hygiene protocol for yourself, then if you're still struggling with sleep, there are 3 supplement recommendations that work very effectively. And those are magnesium, glycine, and inositol. Those 3 supplements actually help us get to sleep and stay asleep. They work on the GABA neurotransmitter system. Those 3 nutrients are very effective at helping us get into sleep, staying asleep, and getting the regenerative, restorative sleep that we need so we're in this anabolic state and wake up feeling refreshed. Some people use melatonin. I don't recommend melatonin on a regular basis because Melatonin is actually a hormone produced in the pineal gland. And if you take melatonin on a regular basis, this can disrupt other hormone systems in your body. So better off using some of the nutrients that I mentioned and not necessarily using melatonin. Another popular item is CBD. CBD and some of the THC products out there do induce sleep, but they're affecting what we call the cannabinoid system in the brain. So these are affecting different receptors in our brain, and yes, they help with relaxation, and they do have some positive effects, but for sleep, I still would recommend the 1-2-3 punch of the magnesium, glycine, and inositol. The brands that I like to use for magnesium, I use Pure Encapsulations. This is a magnesium glycinate. It's 120 milligrams per capsule. So 2 or 3 capsules at bedtime is actually a good dosing. The other brand that I like also is by Standard Process. This one's called EasyMG. This has all the various forms of magnesium in it. It has threonate, it has glycinate. Those help with absorption and with utilization within the brain. So that's another good form. Take 3 tablets before you go to bed. Then with regards to the glycine, I use Designs for Health. They actually have a glycine powder. So 1 scoop is 3 grams. So the dosing is 1 scoop before bedtime. And this is a very well absorbed form of glycine. And that's going to help increase GABA, which is going to help you fall asleep and stay asleep. And then lastly, the brand that I use for the inositol is called Sensitol. This also has lipoic acid in it, so it helps with blood sugar regulation. So anybody who's having any kind of blood sugar dysregulation while they're sleeping or elevated cortisol and glucose and insulin, this is very helpful to regulate blood sugar and help with sleep. So that's my 1-2-3 punch for the sleep.